Welcome to the Dice Tower's coverage of the Gamma Trade Show 2013, aka Tom and Eric Go to Vegas, in which we bring you the latest board game news from the show.
Hey folks, Tom Vasel here, and we're here to talk some more about the Gamma Trade Show that we just went to Las Vegas last week and saw. What we're going to be doing for some videos here is talking about the board games and what games they're planning to publish or just have come out or coming out on Kickstarter or what have you. And I'm usually going to lump 4 or 5 of those companies together in the same video, maybe even more than that. However, Wizkids had so many announcements, so much going on, that we decided to make the first video just all their things. Now, Wizkids came out over a decade ago with a collectible miniatures game, first that I know of, called Mage Night, and the game did well for a while, so they came out with HeroClix, and then the company went out of business. It was bought by Topps and then was sold again to a third group, and this group now has taken Wizkids and just has really changed it. They're still doing HeroClix, but they also are doing board games with the very popular Quarriors and other popular games that they've done over the years. So we had a chance to sit down and talk with them, and the first thing I wanted to know about was the game they just recently have announced, Star Trek Attack Wing.
Star Trek Attack Wing utilizes the flight path maneuver system, and we're very excited to be able to overlay that wonderful game system with the Star Trek elements, which will give it a brand new feel for the Star Trek universe. We will be using existing sculpts. Currently, right now, we're working within existing sculpts that we have for other Star Trek games that we produced, although we'll be doing a little bit of different deco patterns on them. And adding other elements which will really tie in the Star Trek universe. Star Trek is very much about the ships, and the ship combat is fantastic, and it's something that's captured in the maneuver path, the flight path system. But adding in crew to the as an important element into the game, which is very much in the Star Trek universe and the Star Trek vein, that people are an important focus in the crews and their abilities, adding that overlay onto the game. So we're very excited to showcase it here. We'll be doing an oversized demo as well as a regular size demo at our booth. It is collectible, but it is going to be you will have you'll know what ships you're buying. We will start off with a starter set, which will have 3 ships, one of the Federation, Klingon, and Romulan faction. So there is the Uss Enterprise D, Galaxy-class ship. That's the one from Next Generation? Next Generation, correct. You could play it as either the named ship or the generic ship, just a Galaxy-class ship. There's the Romulan D'Deridex ship, which is also the Kazara, is the named ship, and the Vorcha-class Klingon ship, which is the Mata for Klingon. We will also be coming out with 8 expansion packs, which will be individual ship boosters that will have the ships. So again, you can play them as the named ship or the generic of the class ship, as well as crew and upgrade cards included in each one. We're going to start with 3 factions. So with the Federation, the Klingon, and the Romulans in the starter set, and we'll be building off of those 3 factions in the first expansion packs, as well as adding the Dominion. 2 of the expansion packs will be Dominion faction ships. And beyond that, we will be reaching into the Star Trek universe.
By the way, I got to play in that giant game of Star Trek. Wow. But anyhow, I wanted to know, with this new set coming out, would there be, ships from just one section of their history or from all the different Star Trek series? We
will be going through all of the different series. In fact, one of the, well, I'll give you a couple of examples. In the first set of expansions that we're doing, you will see the Uss Enterprise Constitution-Class, so from the original series, with original series crew as part of the cards that you can use to build your fleet. You will also see the USS Reliant. So that was a Miranda-class ship. and that is going to include some, actually I mentioned the Dominions, but we have an independent faction also that will be included with that. So I'll leave you guessing.
Since they mentioned Dominion, and I was very excited to see that faction, and I wondered, well, then that means that's going to come next in Star Trek Fleet Captains. In fact, will you be able to use the ships from one and the other? How will that work?
Well, let's just say there are Dominion ships on the horizon, so we'll see how they where they appear in different areas of Star Trek. Fleet Captains is a wonderful game that we're very excited, and we are definitely looking to continue with that in the future. We have not made any announcements at this point of next expansions or what that will be and when. So I have no further information. But I will say that we are definitely invested in Fleet Captains.
Last week, the Lord of the Rings dice building game was released, which is based on the first dice building game, Quarriors, which has been extremely popular for Wizkids. So we had questions about the future of both Quarriors and its expansions, and some more dice building games that are based on Quarriors.
Quarriors particularly, we will be staying with Quarriors, and the game engine that's been built will be continually building off of the Quarriors game engine. As a dice building game is sort of another question, and I'll kind of steer that direction. So with Quarriors, I'll just say look forward to more Quarriors. No expansions that, well, I should say, there is a new Quarriors Light and Dark, which we did announce at New York Toy Fair. Quarriors Light and Dark is going to be a entry-level SKU, so it's an entry-level product. However, for those of you who have Quarriors and the expansions, you can also use it as an expansion set. So the idea is, now that we have 4 expansions under our belt, we wanted to put out a product that can get people into Quarriors for the first time. Of course, the starter set is out there as well, and we do have a new boxed version versus the tin. That is on the market currently. Other dice building games. Now, dice building games, building now a little bit different than Quarriors, but similar mechanics. So you'll be familiar with the mechanics if you have played Quarriors. But we are going to be creating dice building games under a few different properties. We're very excited to announce that we have received the license for Yu-Gi-Oh! So we'll be working on a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice building game. We also are working with DC for their video game Injustice to make a dice building game for that as well. And this dice building game is going to have similar core mechanics, but it will be built on a collectability model.
Who better to talk to about a game than its designer? Both the designers of Quarriors, Eric Lang and Mike Elliott, were there, so we sat Mike Elliott down and asked him to explain these new DC and Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice building games.
So basically, I worked on the game system with Eric Lang, who worked with me on the Quarriors system. And we took a lot of the Quarriors mechanics, but we changed a few things, like the culling rule that's in the basic game isn't there. We kind of changed it to a different rule, which is actually kind of cool, which is where, again, the game's currently under development, so a couple of these minor rules might change. But on the existing system, when one of your creatures dies, it goes back into your next roll, which is kind of an interesting catch-up feature and encourages more competition. And there's also a persistence element where the creatures don't necessarily go away at the end of the round. There's a number of elements that are different than Quarriors, but it does maintain the buying system and the bag and the kind of dice building mechanics that were made popular with that game. So there will be a starter product that you can buy, which will be playable, and then there will be other packs which will give you dice and cards. Some of those cards may interact with the cards that you got in the starting game. So like you might get, if you're familiar with Couriers, there's multiple versions. Like there's the questing amp, the mighty questing amp, the super mighty questing amp, the
Yes.
the incredible godly questing amp. So here there's different versions of the same dice. So you might get a new card that goes with your basic starting set that now gives you an extra option. And as I said, in this game, you're kind of allowed to pick the creatures that you're playing with, which is deviation from the Courier system.
Eric wanted to know, is it harder to design these games than the original Couriers games? What was the difference in thought patterns?
It's more important to make sure you get the, like in a deck building or dice building game, you can kind of be a little sloppy. Like if one of the creatures is overpowered, like, well, everyone has the same access to the same overpowered creature. When you get into where people can customize their own thing, you have to be much more careful and make sure you're much closer on the balance and you don't mess up. Like you have much less margin for error to mess up in a game where each player is customizing versus a game where everyone's sharing the same pool of potentially broken or not broken dice or cards.
We then talked about a new train game that they're coming out with, Trains and Stations by Eric Lang.
Trains and Stations, very fun game. This is our Eric Lang's take on a train game. This is a game that the setting is the height of the steam age, late 1800s, after the transcontinental railroad has been connected, and that trains are really the center of commerce and industry, moving product and people around the fledgling United States of America. This is a game that utilizes dice, and you will be rolling dice to try to either connect tracks, build tracks across the country, to build buildings, which will be giving you resources as these cities are connected, or to be able to build up money, which will help you along the way as well. We are looking to have this out to release at Essen.
My name's Eric Lang. I'm a game designer. I've been for the last 15 years. I've got a bunch of cool new games coming out this year, doing Chaos Ball for Cool Mini Not, a fantasy sports game, doing Trains and Stations, a Euro game for Wizkids. I've got a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice building also for Wizkids, DC dice building for Wizkids. Doing a secret game for Fantasy Flight, which I don't think I'm allowed to talk about. And I'm another game that I'm going to get in real trouble for not remembering to talk about. So this one is this one's a light entry level game, around the same level of Ticket to Ride, but complexity-wise. But I wanted to do a sort of old school Sid Saxon style, very psychological, press your luck, nothing but table talk. So it's got a Yahtzee-esque push your luck mechanic at its core, but the game itself is semi-cooperative. So players can cooperate to put their train routes together and score lots of points for everybody. But you have lots of little mini prisoner's dilemma situation going on because you don't know who wants to complete what routes, who wants to get which resources from. Because you get rewards no matter who completes anything that you're involved in.
Now, the original game from Wizkids was Mage Night, and when the first Wizkids went out of business, Mage Night went off. We saw it recently come up in Mage Night, the board game. That was very different than the miniatures game, the clicks game. However, they've just recently announced a revival and the appropriately named Mage Night Resurrection. So I wanted to learn more about this.
Mage Night Resurrection is Mage Night was the forefather, let's say, of the combat dial system that then moved into the brands of Marvel and DC to become HeroClix. We're very happy to be able to go back to the original Mage Night game, and going into the storyline and the IP and the lore of Mage Night, which is a rich history that was built over the years of the property of Mage Night and the different releases. We are going to be doing the sculpted characters as we do with all of our miniatures, which first views that we've seen just look fantastic. And we'll be utilizing the switch click system, which you saw for the first time in the Batman Gotham City strategy game, which releases tomorrow, where we have the sculpt that can be taken off of the base and put onto a new base. Original Mage Knight 2.0 compatible dials, and then you can switch the sculpts off of the dials and put them onto dials that are 100% compatible with our current PAC, or Powers and Ability card rule system, that's used for HeroClix and Star Trek Tactics and the other combat dial games. You'll see, let's say that you will see characters and factions that are recognizable to fans of Mage Knight.
I was also curious about the board game. Would we be able to use these Clix models with the board game of Mage Knight?
Mage Knight board game has its own independent rule set system, but you know, we never say never at Wizkids, and I can say that the SwitchClicks technology opens up a world of possibilities for us in order to be able to utilize the combat dial system and have combat dials, the bases, that can be used for different game platforms. So there's a lot of possibilities, all of which we always look into when we're thinking of new games.
One of the properties that Wizkids works with is the Hunger Games, and so we had some questions in regards to what games are out now. What can we expect to see for the Hunger Games?
The most recent that we've had is we did release 2 games for the novelization. Is the novel. Novelization sounds, when you take a movie and write it into a book, it was a book originally, of Catching Fire, which is the second book in the series. We did a Shuffling the Deck game for Catching Fire, and also a board game called Seeds of Rebellion. Those 2 have both been released, and we are looking forward to Catching Fire, the movie, and we'll make announcements from there of what product lines we'll be doing for that.
And finally, we had a chance to ask them about any other upcoming games. As if this wasn't enough, might you have something else up your sleeve?
Well, the biggest, most exciting news for us in the past couple of weeks is that we are working with Konami and the Yu-Gi-Oh property, and so we'll be making announcements for what products we'll be doing with Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's a very exciting property to work with. We'll be doing HeroClix, line of HeroClix figures for Yu-Gi-Oh. So that's something to look forward to there with that property.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Clix. Talk about printing money. Well, there's a lot of great stuff there that we learned from Wizkids, and I really appreciate them taking the time to sit down and talk to myself and Eric, who helped run the camera. So anyway, thanks to all of you for watching. We have many more companies to show you in the upcoming days, along with some other cool videos. And of course, we're still doing reviews as we go by this week. So thanks for watching the Dice Tower. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
Thanks for watching the Dice Tower. Join us next time for more news from the show.